Welcome to the SCHEELS Outdoors podcast, your source for information on hunting, fishing, and all of your outdoor passions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SCHEELS Outdoors podcast. My name is Mike Anderson, and I'm joined today with Ashley Sorensen, my co-host. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Mike.
All right. Glad to be here. You know, it's nice to be here, but to be honest with you, I'd rather be where our guest is at today, and that is professional Bassmaster and SCHEELS pro staff Josh Douglas. Josh, how you doing today?
Oh man, I am doing great. I'm on my home lake on Lake Mille Lacs, and fishing opener just happened, and we're doing a podcast talking fishing. So I really couldn't be doing any better.
Living the life.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm guessing most people that are used to listening to this podcast listen on a platform like SoundCloud or Spotify where you don't have video, but we're trying a little something new today. So we're recording this video. You can find that on YouTube. And Josh is in the boat today, so we just couldn't get him out of the boat. So he's in the boat. And if you're watching this right now, we've got basically a green screen setup where we got a picture of him in the back. So there's a picture of him in our background. So we're not actually with him in the boat, but he's in the screen too. So.
Yeah, we aren't in the middle of the lake right now. That was in Texas?
Yeah, that picture was in Texas where we filmed a bunch of videos, tips and tricks and stuff like that, which if you're on our Instagram or our TikTok page, you'll see those. But enough about us talking. Let's hear a little bit from Josh. How you been doing?
I've been good. It's finally, I guess, spring. Feels more like summer now. It just went from like winter to summer in northern Minnesota, like it always seems to do. But it's nice, open water. The Mille Lacs was closed like a week and a half ago. Still had ice on it. So the fact that it opened up and we're here fishing and been running around fishing tournaments in other states, the south, down in southern United States, starting to get really hot. So this is definitely my most favorite time of year and my most favorite way to fish. It's just starting right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw you. You've just barely made it back for fishing opener. How did that go for you?
Yeah, not great. Well, the only reason I did, I missed Saturday because I had to drive Saturday. But the only reason I got back is because I missed the cut, which is always a depressing drive back home, cashing the small check and then having to do it. But the silver lining was immediately get out of Alabama and push that Chevy back up north so we could get out here right away and get to doing what I do best.
Mm-hmm. So what sort of tactics are you doing right now to get on the fish?
Yeah, it's Mille Lacs is a phenomenal smallmouth fishery, a glacial lake. The water's super clear right now. Water temp ranges anywhere from low 40s. I'm sure you can even find 30s in some parts of the lake. Low 40s up to the low 50s, and just kind of depends on where the wind is blowing around. So that's real pre-spawn mode right now for smallmouth bass. They're getting in big schools. They're coming from being in big schools, and they're starting to break off on different reefs and points. And so it's just a lot of kind of looking around with the active target, finding schools, and then a jerk bait, something like the Shimano World Minnow is going to be a really good call this time of year with that water temp. Everything real pre-spawn. And then, of course, slowing down with like a Ned rig and a tube, stuff like that, and catching them once you kind of know that there's a school there. But little marabou, hair jigs, great time of year to be throwing something like that, too.
Are we giving away any of your fishing spots right now with this video?
Definitely not. I'm no rookie. You ain't looking at anything I don't want you to look at. That's
okay.
Yeah, this isn't his
right.
No, that's actually really lucky for me, is Mille Lacs is just a big bowl. So every time a guide client catches one, or me and my buddy Andy, when we were fishing today, caught one, you just always turn your back so that it's all water behind you, and then no one ever knows where you're at.
Yeah.
This is more of an out of the wind, block the wind out so that we're in a good spot.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Have you noticed any fish on beds yet, or is it still a little bit too early for that?
Yeah, definitely too early for that. I think that'll get backed up. You can usually on Mille Lacs always count on the spawn from around June 1st, June 2nd to about June 15th. That's usually a good time frame for the full-blown spawn. This year, I would guess it'd back up a little bit. It got hot today. It's hot tomorrow. was kind of weird today. It was supposed to be all sun, but it was cloudy all day because those Canadian wildfires kept everything real kind of foggy and smoky, stuff like that. So now the sun's starting to come out. But no, I would say we're going to be a little bit late with the spawn this year, unless things just warm up really, really fast. But it was kind of a tough, long, brutal winter. So things just seem to be a little bit behind, which is good. I'd rather fish for them pre-spawn than spawning anyway. That's when you're going to get the really big ones to bite.
Yeah, absolutely. So you hinted at it a little bit, but talk about how your Bassmaster season's been going so far. Your ups and your downs and everything about that.
Yeah, that's the most perfect way to describe it. Ups and downs. It's been one good day followed by a bad day, and not like I'm not catching limits. I just can't have the right fit. I just keep losing the right fish at the right time, or make a decision to go left when I should go right. I think I've cashed 4 checks, but they've been the small checks. You know, that you make the cut at 50, so 50 to 75 fits the last check range, and 75 to 100 is, you know. So there's always a silver lining, leaving with a little something. But at the same time, it's just been definitely not my year the way I wanted it to go. It keeps I keep being right there in every tournament, and then one day it's just not too good. So hopefully we can correct that. Sabine is that's next. That's in 2 weeks. That's probably the venue I'm definitely not looking forward to the most. That's definitely not my style of fishing. I'm more of an offshore fisherman, and this year so far has not lined up for that at all. Everything's been bed fishing, up real shallow. So the big 3 going out, those will be offshore smallmouth venues. I'm definitely, licking my chops for those coming up, making sure I'm ready to go for that. But yeah, I mean, it's fun to be there, fun to fish. Good days, bad days. Seems like right now I can't control the big ones getting off when I need them to stay on.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any specific fish that come to mind that maybe would have turned one of your lower places right into bumping you up towards the top?
Oh yeah, no, there's literally, I think about every single one of them except Murray was really the only one where I just made a bad decision with where I went on the first day of the tournament. But other than that, no, literally every tournament I just had a big day where I'm always in the top 30 or something, and then the next day I end up with a small limit of 10 pounds or something like that. And those tournaments, you lose them. But even the winner, when you watch, the guy that's going to win the tournament, he's going to lose fish. I just wasn't on him good enough. You just got to either land those. But Florida, like when you're losing 8-pounders, that's a big deal. Those are the ones that spike you up there. But yeah.
Yeah, that one hurts. I mean, like, did you have a certain fishing style, like where you were deep in the trees and they ended up like just getting stuck, or what's the sort of stuff that happens that people don't see on TV or in the results pages?
Yeah, but I mean, but it happens to everybody, so it's just not like I said, you can win tournaments and still lose big bass. It means you're just on them really, really good. We've been to such different fisheries where it's been, trees to vegetation to just right there by my hand, trying to grab it, and it just pops off and gets away. It seems like that's how fishing works. It either rolls with high highs and low lows, and you just got to kind of always weather the storm and keep it right in the middle. And that's kind of how you have a successful, longer career at it. But, buckle down, put those fish in the boat next time, and it's a totally different tournament.
Any high then that you've had so far this tournament?
No. I mean, I've had big days, where I've had big days and caught big fish and stuff like that. But it just seems like I've been following it up instead of with a worse bag. And usually in my track record is if I catch them on day 1, I'll definitely catch them on day 2. I seem to have that confidence where, now I'm catching them on day 1 and just it's fizzling out on day 2. So hopefully we can get it corrected and get it going. Like I said, with those smallmouth venues coming up. And again, I just, I feel more comfortable offshore, and it's been a long spring and the schedule kind of lined up where it's keeping us in shallow water until those last 3 going out. No real ledge tournaments, no real offshore Texas tournaments, nothing like that going on. So I knew I had to weather it. The nice thing is I definitely haven't blown it. Points wise, I think I'm only, I'm under 100 points away from a classic berth with 4 to go. So I just gotta pick up the slack in the last 3 and do my job, and we should be where we need to be, hopefully.
Yeah, I sense a strong finish out of you. There's no end to your fight.
Yeah, you got those other ones out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Well, since you're actually in the boat, I think it'd be a great opportunity to talk about your Lowrance electronics and basically the whole setup you got. So, I mean, since you're just running this off your phone, you mind just kind of walking us around a little, showing us your exact setup? Are you running the whole HDS Pro lineup?
Yeah, I got most of them are Pro. Some of them are still lives. I got a Pro right here that's running the new structure scan unit. That's at my face. My down scan's here. My structure scan's here. Right now I'm shooting at 455, but you can shoot up into the thousands now. This one right here, I'm running my CMAP, my traditional sonar. That I left just a regular standard live unit. There really was no reason to swap that out mid-season for a Pro. But if you run a Pro, it's plug and play for the new structure scan without having to run a box. So that's what I use at my face. Same kind of setup. Like I said, structure scan here, down scan here, sonar here, CMAP here. And then if we go up here, we're running 3 units. Here I got a 16. That's running active target 2. This one right here I got. This one right here is also running active target 2, but I'm running that in scout mode. So I got the 2 transducers on the trolling motor, and then this one right here is just my main map, waypoint map. I don't really run a sonar or anything up front anymore. I just utilize the active targets to do all that, and then a ghost trolling motor right here. I still got the short shaft on just because once we get out of Sabine, I'm going to need it for the Sabine River, but then I'll put my 52-inch shaft on for the rest of the year for guiding out on Mille Lacs and hanging out here. And then, of course, for the big Great Lake events going out at the end of the summer.
Okay. You have a serious chunk of change in electronics on your boat right now.
I'm a little impressed. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of electronics out there.
Yeah, definitely. No, you need them. And that's something right now. You just got to, active target and forward sonar is winning so many tournaments right now, even in the state of Florida. We lost that tournament to a dude that was using, active target forward sonar. So it's just something you got to stay with, the trends and stuff like that. And it gives you so much more knowledge, how you would attack fish and spots you find, are going to be totally different. Kind of similar, like, if you didn't have a spotting scope for elk, you would go a totally different way about trying to harvest an elk. So at the same time, now having that kind of technology, there's a little learning curve with it. You got to know when to use it, when to not look at it. But mostly you need to always be looking at it.
So now if someone can't afford 5 or 6 screens,
yeah,
do you have a suggestion of like, start here? You got to have this 1 or 2.
No, for sure. You can definitely, like on these units, I'll show you, if I want to take this unit, and right now I'm just running multiple screens because it's strictly about the screen inches, how many screens can I have at my face, the more efficient I am. Obviously I got good sponsors in Lowrance and SCHEELS and stuff, so that makes it doable for me. Otherwise I definitely couldn't either. But with Lowrance, you can adjust your splits. You can kind of go in here and set up. Can you see this okay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Set up where you put your sonar, your chart, your side scan. You can put all that into one unit, and then you can also change your template any way you want. So if I wanted to keep map here, maybe bring side scan down and then hit save. And now I'm running all of those off of just one unit. So you just basically the recommendation for me would be to buy as much screen as you can afford. The units themselves, the Lowrance 9, 10, 12, 16, they're all identically the same except for screen size, what you're paying. Just like if we went, to a place to buy big screen TV, we would, you're paying for the screen size and the processors. That's what's really good with Lowrance. That's an 8-core processor now in the new Pro unit. Super snappy, and can crunch all of that. So if a person just wants all the technology that I have at my fingertips, they can definitely do that with just, one unit at their at the console for, what I'm doing at my console is that's where I'm doing my homework. I'm idling around and I'm looking for stuff. I'm not fishing from there. I'm idling around. I'm looking for fishy habitat. I'm looking for fish seasonally. I'm saving waypoints. Then I'm going to turn to the front deck, drop the trolling motor, and I'm going to start utilizing, forward sonar and stuff like that. You can split that screen up front. So you got a forward sonar and your map all on one screen. So I would say, if you want to take full advantage of everything Lowrance offers, you could do it with just two units, one at your face and one up on the console.
Nice.
Yeah, good explanation there. And I'm going to go totally on the opposite end of the spectrum now. So, first of all, I love that analogy you had about going elk hunting without a spotting scope when you compare it to, your forward-facing sonar.
Sure.
I need you to tell me why I need to have two forward-facing sonar like you do on the front there.
Yeah, well, you can run one in forward sonar, which is going to give you your vertical presentation in the water column. So the top of the screen is going to show, I'm super shallow right now, I'd show you, but the top of the screen is going to show the top of the water. The bottom of the screen is going to show the bottom there. And you're looking at everything vertical. So you're seeing fish in a more 3D, coming at you as if the other way. In Scout, you'd flip that image vertically. So now you're looking at what people would be more familiar with, like a 360 style look, except for it's horizontal. I'm saying this right? Yeah, vertical's up and down, horizontal's left to right. So now it's giving you a horizontal view. So now I can see my brush piles or my weed line or my boulder, and I can see like a 180 version of that in front of me, but I can still see my bait and I can still see everything alive, as opposed to the 360 technology, which both people are familiar with. Humminbird, Lowrance also has it, but you need to wait for a transducer to come around. That's not happening in real time. So to be able to run both, and now with Lowrance's, if you run two pros, you can utilize their ping sync, which allows both transducers to jump on their frequency, but at different times, so that you don't get any interference between the two anymore. So again, just more information in front of you of what you're looking at. But I would say, as a general rule of thumb, you're using Scout mode to more look at the structure and the cover that's out there, the habitat that's available, and you're getting precise when you're looking in regular forward mode.
Okay, gotcha. And then, with that new Pro system, you can hook two of them up together in Scout mode and be able to see 270 degrees, right?
Yeah, big. Yeah. So that's called Scout wide, which then you're adding in, now a third active target 2 transducer, but one's in forward and then two are stacked, and it's giving you an extra wide swath of what you have in front of you. And there's super advantages to some of that stuff, because when you're in shallow water like we are now, even if I want to shoot out at 100, I can't shoot 100 feet a lot when the bottom is 6-7 feet, because that's a moving target. It's always up and down and up and down. Once my transducer hits rock or bottom, it doesn't know what's behind it for an infinity level, where you can flip that mode into a Scout mode and you utilize that more so in shallower water situations.
Very cool. Yeah, it's just amazing how far electronics have advanced, even in the past 10 years.
Oh yeah, in the past 3 years, but yeah,
Right.
10 years. I just watched Sabine River from 2013, I think it was, and everybody still had only one graph at their console and one graph on their deck, and now it's minimum of 5, in total at that elite level. So yeah, 10 years. You went from just they had a map and a sonar. That's all they was on their units.
Yeah. So have you seen fish react negatively when you're bouncing 2 live units at them?
Oh, I've seen them negatively when I've when I drop my trolling motor too loud, for sure. They can hear that. That's the best advice I can give to people both forward facing sonars. I actually, I do a lot of guiding. I do a lot of electronics training, stuff like that, for both the SCHEELS stores and myself personally, and just fans of Josh Douglas fishing. That's just something, I think people can understand it better forward sonar than they can anything else. Structure scan sonar, anything else. Forward sonar is like you're looking at something with your eyes and seeing something swim towards you or swim around you and how they react. So most certainly I do catch fish that I'm seeing, and I'm tricking that fish in, that I want to bit. For instance, today, me and my buddy Andy were creeping around looking for a school of fish that always hangs on this certain edge during pre-spawn. But it's a football field area. So we're just kind of moving through there slow. We used to use, a jerk bait and a hair jig to do that job for us, and just fan cast kind of in the area until one bit, you found the school. In this case, we kind of were coming off a drop, and all of a sudden, boom, those fish were in our face at like 30 feet. And I knew that they saw us and we saw them. They're already acting that way. My jerk bait was probably 60 feet behind them, and I just reeled it as fast as I could until it got right in front of them, jerked it one time, and the biggest one, it was I believe that was the 5-pounder I caught. It was a big one. Just ate the jerk bait. That would have been a fish that I never would have saw, I never would have known was there in the past. But more so with forward sonar is the ability to learn how loud you really are as an angler, and to know that, like, a mountain lion doesn't make his living in the woods by roaring everywhere he goes. He's hides, and he's super duper quiet and agile, and he can run through the woods without anything hearing that it's there. Is survival mode. So the more you think like a predator when you're out on the water, the better you're going to be. And forward sonar gives you that ability to, one, see what your presence and how the fish are reacting to your presence, and at the same time collect real-time information. Like, I'm not kidding when I say what I've learned in the last 2 years on a lake that I know very well, like Lake Mille Lacs. I was 80% wrong 2 years ago in what those fish were actually doing, how I thought they were sitting there, how many fish was there. And, now I can see stuff like, that I'm being too loud, or that they know I'm there at 90 feet. They already have one coming at me. They know my presence is there, what my shadow is doing, what everything's doing. It just allows you to collect that much more information of what you're doing and how the fish are reacting. Areas that I thought had 3 or 4 fish might have 30 or 40, and I just didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty
Amazing.
crazy to think about. And you know what? One other interesting thing, that you kind of said about like forward facing sonar, it's like, okay, you get forward facing sonar, you can see these fish, but then, you're bouncing frequency waves off of them and it's scaring them. But, in reality, it's doing the same thing with your down scan or your side scan. It's just that information isn't in real time, so you can't physically watch them swimming away. They're swimming away when you're pinging them on side scan too. It's just you don't realize it.
Sometimes they're swimming to you. If they can keep their eyes on you and don't open their mouth on the first tasty thing that comes by, and they'll do that. They'll hang around the boat. They'll use the boat as long as the boat's presence is there. Now, it used to be, they used the boat for food. You'd startle crawdads away from a rock, and all of a sudden they'd use the boat. But all of a sudden, the presence of us being right on top of them all the time and knowing where they are, now they use the boat like as a safety mechanism. Like, I'm going to come to the boat, and I know that while that boat is within eyeshot of me, I should probably not eat anything right now. And that's just God's ways of protecting his babies, like just things evolve and change and stuff like that. So, and don't think for a second that they don't know those transducers. So I set my hotkeys. If you look, like this hotkey, can you see that right there?
Mm-hmm.
To go to stop sonar. So the second I get up, I do that on this unit too. The second I get up from idling, I kill both those sonars. I don't need to have them running no more. So I just got that hotkey set for that. And now I'm turning to just my active target and having that do its job. And that's just leaving a lot less pinging coming from the boat. Clears up my image that I'm trying to look at. But also it can be like a bullseye. It can bring those fish right to you. And since I'm up on the deck, I don't really need to know what's going on back there.
Love
Awesome.
it. Great information.
So what's your setup like for on the road?
Yeah, it's changing actually
Okay.
right now. So it was me, my wife Bree, and my dog Lutzen, and we traveled in a camper. Well, we have a Lance camper that sits in the bed of our dually, and then we have like a hitch extender that pulls the boat. That's what you're asking me, right? Like what's mine? Like right? What my
Yeah,
setup for
on
traveling?
your tournament trail. A little
Yeah.
bit of life on the tournament trail.
Okay. Yeah. So the boat's always the same. What we just went through on the boat's always the same. Of course, I have to bring that with me. Delta frowns on bringing a bass boat, to get there. So a lot of long, super long drives, 16, 18, 24-hour drives for us when we choose to, stay in northern Minnesota. So we always had the camping thing, and that was really, really awesome. Lutzen loved it. It's the only thing he's ever known. He's 4 years old. We picked him up in Missouri, threw him in the dually, and that's all the life he's known is fishing and traveling around and home sometimes when the season's right and all that. But just recently, actually, we are in the process of selling our dually to a buddy of mine and selling the Lance camper off. And we got a new truck, put a topper on it. It's in getting wrapped right now. And we're going to VRBO it for a little bit. It gets a little crowded in the camper. It's a lot to carry around. Campsites are actually pretty crazy, post. A lot of people bought campers during that COVID era because it's a good thing to do, to stay remote and still be with your family and stay outside. So the campgrounds are kind of real busy and all that. And it's a little, to be dead honest, it's easier for me because I fish sun up to sundown, and Bree and the dog are sitting in a camper, and like they need
The dog doesn't get to go with.
Yeah, no, the dog. Yeah, no, not for. He goes with a lot, but he does not for tournament play. I could only. He wants to go to the bank all the time so he can fetch sticks and swim, and he'll cry the whole dang time. But so he stays with Mama in the camper. But yeah, so now we're running VRBOs here for the next year or two, and it's better for her too for pumping out videos. It's something we're really getting ready to take to the next level. Kind of had to revamp some things so we could travel with more stuff. By utilizing a topper, because you imagine you put the camper in there and you don't have no space for extra storage and all that. So we're trying to work on getting a good fishing show going, a long-term fishing show, and that gives her better internet and all that, because we can make sure the VRBO has solid internet and stuff like that too. So yeah, new boat wrap should be, like I said, it's in getting done right now. I just approved the wrap, dropped it off yesterday, so should be pretty sharp.
Oh, we're looking forward to seeing that. Talk to us a little bit about your content you have, like what you're kind of trying to morph into, and where you're looking to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, tournament fishing has always been something that I've been into, but it's definitely not where I started. I started more on the content side and guiding. That was kind of always my deal. I have a hospitality management background. I didn't finish school, so I'm not say that, but that's what I did, was hospitality. I worked for Marriott for a while. They put a good bit of effort into teaching me hospitality. So one thing I've always just really want to do is the video side of things and teach people how to fish. That's a knack that I have. It's something that I like to do. Bree and I kind of team everything up. She's really good at doing the PowerPoint presentations and the video. She does all, my video stuff that we do personally for the Josh Douglas Fishing Channel, and just for some of the content we create for SCHEELS and Shimano and the other sponsors that we're with. But I think that's always where the end goal is going to be. We were pretty close to doing that, and then I went off and qualified for the Elite Series. So we kind of put everything on hold to maybe check off a few more boxes as we go. But eventually that's the goal, is to make good, awesome, wholesome content, not just flashy content that sells that way, but the stuff that actually teaches the 99% of fishermen, fisherwomen out there, that teaches the real 99%, like how to do it and how to be more successful on the water. Because I can remember growing up as a kid, I can remember super unsuccessful and frustrating times out on the water with my family. And then I can remember like what it's like when you just absolutely have a good time. And that good time doesn't always need to be catching fish, but it sure is a perk. And that is something that I want to continue to teach people to do, and definitely through the SCHEELS platform, through their platforms for sure, because we all know that they're the most educated staff out there when it comes to buying those products. So then I'll take over once they get out of the store. I want to be the face that people turn to learn how to use that equipment when they're on the water.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, Josh. I mean, like, I had an awesome time down in Texas, filming with you, doing those videos, like how we have it set up in the, in our screen background right now. Basically, when you have a day where you get paid to just go out and do fishing videos on the water, I was like, oh man, I can get used to this.
That's what I'm saying. I think we're just getting started, Mike. You know what I mean? We got a lot of that stuff to put together, and in the future, you guys all do a great job with it. And I can't do many things in the world. I can tangle with a bass. I'm a decent cook, but I can definitely run my mouth about fishing for sure, and have a knack for teaching people, how to do it. So many pro fishermen are so secretive, you know what I mean? And they don't want to, or they don't have the ability to do that. And that's something that I got. And so it's something I definitely want to give back to the sport that's given a ton to me.
Now, that's definitely a gift to be able to teach. So that's great that you're passionate about it too, because I think that content is so valuable to other people. And yeah, there's enough fish to go around, right?
Yeah, there most definitely is. Trust me.
Now, are you guys able to record content when you're at these tournaments also?
Yeah, we do some. I mean, the tournament itself, if being that Bree, my wife does a lot of my video content and stuff. I'm putting it politely, and it's her words. The weather's got to be like pretty peachy for her to really want to go out there. Like if it's 38 degrees and it's a 3-foot wave, or it's going to have any threat of rain, she's probably not want to be out there a ton. So obviously the tournaments take full rank.
That's probably the secret to a successful marriage too.
Yeah,
allow her to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, you can stay in today. Yeah, when it's raining.
Yeah. So the tournaments themselves, I mean, Bassmaster does such a good job putting people out on the water, especially if you're catching them. And Bree's collecting all the content at takeoff and at the weigh-ins and all that kind of good stuff. But if we keep going the tournament route, we'll see. And it would be nice to bring in a little bit of that, tournament scene. But we always have a marshal, so you need to get you need to have another boat to run your person behind the camera around with you and all that. And it's these guys are so good. I need to be making sure I'm focusing every single bit of my effort into catching 5 bass a day for sure. But the tournaments, yeah, we bring a lot of content, more post content, when the tournament's over. Through my What's on My Deck series and stuff that I utilize, and showing off the rods and reels and stuff that we use at that tournament, or that I'm expecting to use, and of course if I was on fish, what I was doing to catch them, and how my equipment, and how I utilize all that equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so great you share that.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
100%. And anybody listening to this right now that hasn't seen your What's on My Deck series, you need to go check that out, because that's like great in-depth information, what you're using, how to use it. Definitely go check it out. And we'll link it in the description of this podcast too.
Awesome. Bree and I actually just shot a new What's on My Deck, but we shot 2 new SCHEELS videos on Sunday, right when we got back. One was on Ned rigging and like where they're at pre-spawn. We turned to the C map, like where are they? And then some swim bait stuff, but not like little swim baits, little paddle tails, but not your traditional way of catching them, like casting them and reeling them back in. So they're going to be pretty good. And there's some good SCHEELS ones coming up. So definitely tune into those too.
All right. Perfect. Looking forward to that. So, hey, we appreciate your time, Josh, but before I let you go, I need to hear your turkey story. So
I need to hear it too. You were telling me a little bit.
We need to hear
this story.
Because I was sitting, I open up Instagram in the morning, it's kind of my job. So I'm sitting around, and then here I see Josh Douglas with a turkey, and I'm like, oh, hey, welcome to the wonderful world of turkey hunting, Josh. So, talk to us about it.
I'm all in on turkey hunting, man. I just, the thing about turkey hunting for bass fishermen is the schedules collide hard. Like a lot of times there's tournaments and stuff like that here in the spring, and it's just that time of year to get going. But there's so many turkeys in so many states now that you can basically just bring your shotgun with you and get a tag somewhere and knock on a door. Most farmers are more than willing. That's what I found, that I came back home. I went once last year with a buddy, Thomas Allen, who's a big time turkey hunter. And I only had one day. I had one day and I had to leave town, and it works. The Minnesota ones at least work like weekly. You get a weekly tag.
Mhm.
And it's only good for that week. Well, for me to be able to go with them, I had to use the last day of the season and go. And we did see a bearded hen, which is a legal bird to shoot in Minnesota, but I opted not to for a tom, so I never did get one. This year, we just kind of tackled it ourselves. Me and my buddy Andy, my buddy Joel. None of us were really turkey hunters. None of us had shot one, but we are all kind of into it. Matter of fact, us three, we went to the St. Cloud SCHEELS and bought everything. I, got some two decoys and a slate call and a little bit of camo. One of them got a new pair of crispy boots, so he was pretty dialed. And we went out and we got permission to hunt some land, and we didn't know nothing about it. We set up a blind, but we sucked in the blind. We didn't see anything. That was terrible. Our calls weren't working, nothing. So that day, though, we're leaving, and in the neighboring property, we see a big old tom, like a real big one, strutting with a couple hens. So we got kind of close as we could, staying on the property we could hunt, and tried to call him in. He just left, went on the other side of the road. So the next day, me and my buddy Andy get up real early, and we're going to sit right on the cornfield side of ours, right in the woods, just go find a spot as close to him as we can, where we last saw him. And as soon as I shut the truck, I was in Bree's truck. And when if you leave the key fob in the truck and you shut the door, it'll go like beep, 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 like that. And so it did that loud, and usually you'd be like, oh crap, but he answered it. He gobbled at it right away, like from the wood line. And we were just like, oh God, let's go. We ran over there, and Andy did a lot of the calling. And we'd call at him, and he'd answer it 90% of the time. Heck, when the cows woke up and started mooing, he'd answer them. Like, he was pretty tuned up. And but he never moved, stayed in the same spot. I don't even know how many couple hundred yards into the woods. And all of a sudden, a hen comes out into our decoys, and she's doing her thing, and she gets within like 5 or 6 yards of us. And so we're just leaning up against trees, and she's doing most of the clucking, doing most of the work for us in those. And we're just kind of watching her, trying not to move. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one gobbles like 10 yards behind us, sent like shivers up my spine. It was just right behind us, and we're just like, oh God, frozen, because now she's right here and he's right here behind us. And we probably sat there for 15, 20 minutes. Eventually that bird came out and came into the decoys with a hen, and the hen kind of ran out of him, and he froze up and did a little half check to my Jake, and I hit him, and he was just a Jake. It was my first one. We did know, like, at one point when he was coming into the decoys, it was kind of a lot going on. We heard that other tom gobble, still from the same spot. So we knew right then and there it wasn't, but I had one day and I had to get down to the last tournament. So I was all in. Now I'm like, I hope they let you go after more, because Bree, we took it home. My buddy Thomas Allen came over and taught me all kinds of tricks, like how to get the stones and stuff out of the gizzard and get the feet and the fan out the tail and all that, and how to properly breast it was really easy. I'm a duck hunter and a bird hunter, so that was, same, bigger, easier to do. But Bree took it right away and made Japanese wild turkey katsu, which bright stuff, and it was just so phenomenal. So now even Bree won't hurt a fly, and now she's thinking about, well, we might need to get 2 tags. I might need to shoot one next year. So I'm hoping that actually comes to fruition. I'll record that for sure if that happens.
There you go. Love it. And you know what? I was just talking to Ashley the other day, asking her, like, okay, do you go hunting? Have you been? And she's like, no. So I just said, if you're gonna get started hunting, start with turkey hunting. It's the most fun thing. When you're set up and you have one gobble in your face at like 10 yards, it is one of the most incredible feelings in the world. And now you can vouch for me, right?
Oh, it's I don't want to say like poor man's elk hunting, because it's, just elk hunting is expensive. I want to go on elk hunts. I want to do all that, but it's kind of like it, because like, I don't think I'll sit in a blind again. I'll definitely rather stay mobile and move around and call at them and get them to call back and then figure out where to set up and get into that. And I took to the call pretty quick. I know it's not the hardest thing in the entire world. You know, it sounds turkey no matter what, but kind of took to it right away. And I really like it. It's phenomenal when they're talking to you, and it's just like, I'll happily not be in the bass boat for turkey season to make sure I get one. And I'll definitely travel with my 20 gauge for sure. Just for, you know, when we get the weekend off in between tournaments or something, that I'd like to start working at getting the different ones in different areas.
Both of you have this like glow about you talking about these turkeys.
It's so cool. It's so rad. I just never did it. I just never did it. And, you know, now I'm all in. And you really don't need much stuff. Seriously, St. Cloud Scheels had us in and out of there in a half hour. I mean, I have a Scheels gift card, so I left with plenty or more than a guy needed to have to go and do it. But like I said, I'm in it for the long haul now. So
there you go. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, you can carry a bunch of stuff into the woods if you want to do like cameras and capture it with Tacticams and stuff like that. But yeah, get yourself a call, a couple of decoys, shotgun, and some camo, and you know, you can get yourself a turkey. And yeah, it was pretty funny. Like throughout this whole podcast, like you were kind of a businessman through it all, talking about like your electronics and and then we bring up turkey, and you got just like a little schoolgirl smile on you.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, it ruined me immediately. I wanted more of that, and I just, you know, now I can only imagine. Like I said, it was just a Jake that I got, so I could only imagine a big old giant strutting Tom coming in and trying to mess up my decoy and, you know, try to hit him. But yeah, I made him roll. That's for sure. It was a done deal right away. So, but again, we got it all. Everything at Scheels. Good shells. You know, everything you need now. It's pretty easy. And you know, a lot of times I like to fish with people and even hunt. You know, I'm a big deer hunter. I like big game hunting. That's definitely my favorite. And this kind of feels like big game to me, even though it's a bird. It still feels like it's a big game animal. Well, it kind of is. So
it is a large bird.
Yeah, they're pretty big birds. And you know, you're right. They're pretty much like elk hunting. You know, it's almost exactly the poor man's version of elk hunting.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost as much. You can usually get a tag pretty easy. And the vocalizations and the interactions between each other, like you call, they call back. You get excited, they get excited. And you need to wait for when two different things. Number one, when they come in and they attack your decoys. That is super cool. And then when you get a big one that'll spit and drum, like they make it's almost impossible to explain the sound until like you actually hear it, and you literally feel it in your chest when those turkeys will spit and drum. And yeah, it's super cool. Just like stick with turkey hunting until you hear that, and then you think you're hooked now. Then it'll be full blown obsession.
Oh yeah, no, I'm bad. I already called Scheels. I got a Benelli 28 gauge on order. I called Leupold, who I'm with them for sunglasses, and got a scope for it right away. Like I'm all in. I can't. and like I said, it's something you can just lean up against a tree by yourself too, and just have a good time. But my nephews and stuff, they're starting to get to that age, so I would love to sit there and call in turkeys. That's, you know, you can still do that. Just, you know, as long as you're not out there shooting them, you know, harvest mine and then help my nephews get theirs, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost more fun to bring a kid out and help them shoot their first bird. It's awesome to see.
A kid or Ashley.
Or Ashley,
No.
yeah. Ashley here. She's got to shoot her first bird too.
Yeah, that's a good thing to start with. I think that'd be a good place to do it for sure. It's fun. It's a blast.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, next year I want to see a series out of you. You doing the Bassmaster thing and doing a Grand Slam on the turkeys. Get all the subspecies and then win every bass tournament in the state where you shot each different species of bird too. So
well, we could. I got connections for buddies that, you know, do a lot of it down in South Florida for like the Osceola and all that. I might have to come up towards your guys' neck of the woods and do it with you and finish it off. It's the Miriam, right, out in South Dakota.
Yep, there's Miriams, and then there's a lot of Easterns out here too.
Yeah, that's what we got here. Easterns, basically the entire fishing schedule. It's mostly mostly Easterns that kind of are in that area. But South Florida, right away to start the season, get an Osceola, check that thing out. I see them all the time when I'm fishing. So
Yeah, I think there's got to be a couple spots where you could get a Rio too. I don't know exactly where they're at, but I feel like they're in kind of the areas where you're fishing.
West Texas, maybe.
Yeah,
Something like that, maybe Oklahoma or something.
there we go.
They're probably real big in Texas too.
Everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Yeah. We got a lot of them around here, even up here in northern Minnesota. You know, the locals. I've lived up here for 7 or 8 years now, and we didn't see that many of them right away. I mean, heck, for the first couple of years, I probably saw more timberwolves than I saw turkeys. But now there's turkeys everywhere, and the the locals just kind of say, they're just haven't been there. They hadn't been there until 15, 20 years ago, and just everywhere. It seems like everywhere around the United States, it really doesn't matter where you're at. It seems like the populations are exploding. So, I think that maybe that's why I never got into turkey hunting when I hunted everything else in Minnesota. It used to be kind of hard, I think, to get a turkey license, a turkey tag, and now it's, over the counter.
Yep, I've definitely seen that over the past, 10, 15, especially 20 years. Like when I was living at my parents still in like middle school, high school, like there wasn't a turkey there, and now they're just everywhere in that spot. So it's like they've been dispersing like crazy and spreading like fire, and I'm not mad about it.
No, not me either.
I was a little irritated last summer. There was a whole group of them, and they were not afraid.
No,
I'd just be sitting there, and here comes 6 of them walking up to me.
Yeah, they're a bird that, a lot of people see them on their commutes to work. They're just a great place for turkeys to hang out, is right on the edges of town. You get that mix of suburban and ag, and those are always the ones that are protected. You can't hunt turkeys like in the middle of town. So all these birds know that, well, nothing can harm me except for unless I'm really dumb and get hit by a car. So they can get big and old, and those ones, people think, well, it'd be so easy to shoot a turkey. Like I got to honk my horn to get them out of the way. But when you get into the woods and you actually try to shoot them, way different.
Yeah, they can see everything. They're smart. And I think people see them because when they're all bowed up and strutted out, it looks like a big balloon out in the middle of the cornfield or something. You just can't help but notice it when they're not exactly, they're doing the exact opposite of trying to hide.
Yes, right. Exactly. So, all right, cool. Well, Josh, thank you so much for your time. It was very interesting doing this podcast, like us in an office and you in the boat, and I enjoyed it. I have the itch to get on the water. I'm a little jealous I'm not in your spot right now.
I hear you, man. I hear you. We always have an invite out here, and thanks for having me on. I'm gonna get back to. And since you called me earlier, now I got your cell phone number, so I'll send you a text of a 5-pounder here in just a little bit.
Nice.
Perfect.
Thanks so much, Josh.
All right.
Thank you, y'all. Take care. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the SCHEELS Outdoors podcast. Stay tuned for future segments and visit our social media pages, SCHEELS Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates.